Motivational stories. Lunch with God. A little boy wanted to meet God. He packed his suitcase with two sets of his dress and some packets of cakes and he started his journey. He walked along and felt tired. So he sat in a park on the way and opened a packet to take a cake to eat. Then he noticed an old woman sitting sad with hunger nearby. So he offered her a piece of cake. She gratefully accepted it with a wide look and smiled at him. Her smile was so pretty that the boy longed to see it again. After some time, he offered her another piece of cake. Again, she accepted it and smiled at him. The boy was delighted. They sat there all afternoon eating and smiling, but they never said a word. While it grew dark, the boy was frightened and he up got to leave, but before he had gone more than a few steps, he ran back and gave her a hug, and she kissed him with her prettiest smile. When the boy opened the door, his mother was surprised by the look of joy on his face. She asked him, "What did you do today that made you look so happy?" He replied, "I had lunch with God." Before his mother could respond, he added, "You know what? She has got the most beautiful smile I have ever seen in my life." Meanwhile, the old woman, also radiant with joy, returned to her home. Her son was stunned by the look of peace on her face and asked, "Mom, what did you do today that made you so happy?" She replied, "I ate cakes in the park with God." Before his son responded, she added, "You know, he is much younger than I expected." Too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. Remember, nobody knows how God will look like. People come into our lives for a reason, for a season, or for a lifetime. Accept all of them equally and let them see God in you. Meaningless goals. A farmer had a dog who used to sit by the roadside waiting for vehicles to come around. As soon as one came, he would run down the road barking and trying to overtake it. One day, a neighbor asked the farmer, "Do you think your dog is ever going to catch a car?" The farmer replied, "That is not what bothers me. What bothers me is what he will do if he ever caught one." Many people in life behave like that dog who is pursuing meaningless goals. Life is hard by the yard, but by the inch it's a cinch. Military. One day, a young guy and a young girl fell in love, but the guy came from a poor family. The girl's parents weren't too happy, so the young man decided not only to court the girl but to court her parents as well. In time, the parents saw that he was a good man and was worthy of their daughter's hand. But there was another problem. The man was a soldier. Soon war broke out and he was being sent overseas for a year. The week before he left, the man knelt on his knee and asked his lady love, "Will you marry me?" She wiped a tear, said yes, and they were engaged. They agreed that when he got back in 1 year, they would get married. But tragedy struck. A few days after he left, the girl had a major vehicular accident. It was a head on collision. When she woke up in the hospital, she saw her father and mother crying. Immediately, she knew there was something wrong. She later found out that she suffered brain injury. The part of her brain that controlled her face muscles was damaged. Her once lovely face was now disfigured. She cried as she saw herself in the mirror. Yesterday I was beautiful, today I am a monster. Her body was also covered with so many ugly wounds. Right there and then she decided to release her fiancé from their promise. She knew he wouldn't want her anymore. She would forget about him and never see him again. For 1 year, the soldier wrote many letters, but she wouldn't answer. He phoned her many times, but she wouldn't return her calls. But after 1 year, the mother walked into her room and announced, "He is back from the war." The girl shouted, "No, please don't tell him about me. Don't tell him I am here." The mother said, "He is getting married," and handed her a wedding invitation. The girl's heart sank. She knew she still loved him, but she had to forget him now. With great sadness, she opened the wedding invitation and then she saw her name on it. Confused, she asked, "What is this?" That was when the young man entered her room with a bouquet of flowers. He knelt beside her and asked, "Will you marry me?" The girl covered her face with her hands and said, "I am ugly." The man said, "Without your permission, your mother sent me your photos. When I saw your photos, I realized that nothing has changed. You are still the person I fell in love. You are still as beautiful as ever because I love you." Mother's love. The Vietnam War broke out, followed the heart. The young husband joined the military and sacrificed his life, leaving behind his wife and kids. Life post war was very hard, often with not enough food to eat. Still young and beautiful, the wife refused to remarry and dedicated her entire life to raise her kids with the best possible care and education. An opportunity came. The first-born son immigrated to America, studied hard, and became a NASA engineer, having a good life. The son sent home letters, often together with much money for mom to spend. However, Christmas after Christmas, New Year after New Year, with the many excuses, the son stubbornly refused to travel home to visit mom. When the mother died, the son returned and organized a big funeral, but people did not see him shedding tears. Mother left behind a chest that she always placed at the top of her bed. During the funeral, the son opened the chest and suddenly bursted into tears, sobbed, embraced his mother's coffin, and screamed hysterically, "Mom, Mom." Everyone looked at each other and looked at the chest. It was full of $100 bills, and a piece of paper in it read, "Son, I don't spend too much money. I miss you a lot. Every time I hear a motorcycle passing by, I run out the door, but it wasn't my son. I saved this money for you in case when you get sick."